Hello, everybody. Another live draw tonight. So let's go ahead and go with some branding. How does that sound? Sounds great. Thanks. All right, so I'm here. Nick's joining me tonight, and he's gonna help me keep an eye on the comments as we get going. And so I'm gonna draw tonight. So I'm thinking I'm gonna draw Trash Man. What do you think?
I think Trash Man's great. I don't know who's right now. I'm seeing 6 likes already.
Yeah, that's crazy. We got one person watching, so somebody's with us already. So
hey,
2 people are with us. All right. So what should we draw? So what do you think? A Trash Man tonight?
yeah.
You can put in the comments. People can put in the comments what they want.
Yeah, please.
What they want to see.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, I think I can do that best like this and that like that. Alrighty. Well, I'm not seeing
No comments yet. That's fine.
No comments yet, but I am sharing this so everyone can. See how I'm checking my delay.
I'm gonna go ahead and do Trash Man. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. I do have a bit of delay, but we'll work around that.
Yeah, that's fine. So, Nick, how have you been doing? You doing all right?
Oh, I've been great. What I've been spending the day doing is researching maps for the RPG.
Oh, that sounds cool.
I've been just trying to figure out, because in the quick play, obviously, I have maps of the places the players go. So I'm thinking in the book, I should have a whole map section similar to that. So it's, pardon me. Trying to figure out the places that bad things are likely to happen in hybrids is a colorful and, adventurous job. So it's coming together. God, the speed you have anymore, you just fly. And it's fun to see.
You draw them long enough.
Nope. And there we go again. Come on. It's coming together. Well, got to turn the sound off. Alrighty. There's just a bit of lag between.
Yeah, there always is.
Facebook, live show feed.
Yeah, Facebook does a bit of lag in there.
But let me see if I can't fix some of that, because I've got set between multiple windows and my cell is backup.
Yeah, you won't be able to fix any of that. That stuff's naturally there. So.
Oh, good. But I love Trash Man's proportions, because it's so. A lot of times people don't draw big guys well. You know what I mean? They make them look either ripped, but they're not, supported in the center. Or they try to make them look supported and they just come off looking fat.
Oh no, he's got he's got center mass, that's for sure. I took a long time learning to draw the big guys. Well, I was a big fan of Hulk, so I would always draw the big guy. It was always kind of my thing. I always wanted to.
Let's see. Say something. Okay, I'm just getting a bunch of Facebook from Facebook notices, but not saying anything other than. No, but we've got 5 viewers. So, folks, if you want, can you say hi so we know you're there?
Yeah. Say hi and feel free to make a comment. As always, this will be for sale at the end of the night, just like everything else. Everything is always for sale.
I know the feeling. I just got a small art commission on the side too, so
yeah,
that's what I'll be doing later.
Yeah, so I go through and do these real quick sketches like this just to kind of fill this in. And then once I'm done with that, I do this. I hit the magic button. Watch. Ooh, it's blue. Let's get to 4. I like the 4.
There we go.
Frank Muma says hi. I see that. Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. I'm drinking my vanilla Pepsi Zero. I like it.
Oh, yeah. Had to think about it. I've got more of the little knockoff Mio Black Cherry Squirter.
There you go.
The joys of the flu-pocalypse or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's see. I love seeing where people anchor their drawings from as they go, you know? It's like, because you've been drawing Trashman long enough that you don't really have to do a lot of detailing to figure out where his chin is going to be and then add the beard over it, you know? It's just already ingrained.
Yeah, the stuff I haven't been drawing as long, I have to do that with, but...
Let me see, do we have anybody here? Nope, unless it's not coming out, but...
I like to get sketchy.
Hey, it's loose, it's fun.
Yeah.
It keeps things, you know, where they need to, you know, from getting too bound up. This is, you know, I'm dating myself a little bit, but I don't know if it hits you, but every once in a while, the technology that we get to use just sort of blows my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you know, like, we take it for granted, but I'm sitting with 2 touchscreen devices facing me. I could have a third, but right now I'm having where I want to keep power control elements. You know, it looks like something from a Star. Yeah. And we just take it completely for granted, you know?
Yeah. I'm drawing on a computer.
I mean,
like it's quicker. This wasn't a thing that we could do a long time ago.
No, I remember doing all your sketching in blue because the photocopier couldn't see it.
Yes.
So you'd sketch everything in blue, do your ink. When you photocopied it, you'd have your backup to color. Yeah.
These kids these days, they have no idea.
No, none whatsoever. You know. Oh, when you are alone drawing a character, what goes through your mind? And that's Frank Muma would like to know.
Okay, so he has asked 2 questions. When I'm alone and I'm drawing, what goes through my mind? Usually I try to have some music playing, but what I do is especially with something that's my own, I will get into that universe and I will start to think about what they're thinking, or what maybe, especially when I'm doing like a facial expression, what's going on in their mind. Like what's Trash Man, like what's his thought pattern, like those kind of things. If I'm drawing for somebody else's book or something, then it's like what kind of, what are they going through? I try to think about that universe and just kind of put myself in that frame of mind, and then sometimes if it's something I draw so often that I just zone out. I zone out, and nothing goes through my mind. It's very relaxing.
I totally get that. That's like the best art comes when you don't know what you're. Sometimes I love when I open up a blank page and I'm doing something and I look and there's this picture. I have no idea where it came from. There's a character staring back at me, but Frank would like to know, as you are drawing, how much does the tech help? I guess he caught us talking about the good old days, or the bad old days, as you want to put it.
Yeah, the tech helps me quite a. It depends. I do have a reference monitor, so if you can see, I'll just move my camera around so you can see. I put a reference monitor over here, right there. So I can pull up references and look at them and look at pictures as I need. And I am all about using references. I don't, someone asked me today, he's like, do you know how to draw everything? And I go, well, I don't know how to draw everything, but you have to be able to learn how to draw everything if you are doing like comics or things like that. And so in order to be able to draw things I don't know how to draw, I have to pull up references. They're essential. You just can't do it without it.
Okay, I see.
So the technology helps me that way, because before you would have to have a like encyclopedias or like pictures of stuff, and now you could just Google like what does an elephant look like, and then
I used to have a big old manila folder just of stuff I'd print off at the computer lab, of just frequent reference art just to flip through. And funny, with all this tech, I still find myself going back to those old systems when I'm stressed, because I know I can flip it up and not have, not be hopping screens. Frank says, yes, a conversation with the character, which I totally get drawing.
Yeah, I like that. I like kind of getting in their heads. They're people too, darn it.
Oh yeah.
They're fake people. They're not real people, but they're people too,
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's an obligation when you're drawing them or you're writing about them to listen to what they want, which sounds ridiculous, but a bit schizophrenic, but I think every writer is.
Yeah. Doesn't sound ridiculous to me, but that's, but I am ridiculous. So that's. So I'm just like, now I'm just putting little elements of his costume in, because, I kind of know they're there. And really the big thing about Trash Man is his costume is his torso.
Yeah.
This dude's massive. He is a massive character.
There's a part of me that always thinks of Optimus Prime every time I see Trash Man, because it's just the big front pecs. You know what I mean? It's just there. Yeah. And one thing I really am impressed with, because like we were talking earlier, they don't know this. Frank says, I assume he's agreeing, but I don't know with what. But we were talking about, how much your work has improved as the art goes on. It's really, I think people, when you make it big, the Trash Day arc is going to be something people come back to time and time again, just to show how rapid your progress as an artist was from issue 1 to 5. And I've been looking at the anatomy, because that's one of my weak spots, and how smooth and almost effortless Trash Man's anatomy has become as you're doing this. Even compared to your earlier works, it's just a really neat thing.
I appreciate you saying that.
And I think that's
I think part of the reason why I like to do these live draws is because so people can know that it really was progress. It really is my progression. You know, I've had people's like, there's no way that you can progress that quickly in your art. And I'm like, well, if you practice really, really hard, you can. You know, you're only limited by your
Well,
own, your own hard work.
and that's the trick. I know a lot of people who ask about drawing, and they talk about drawing, and I say, well, draw more. You know, it's like the first step to being better at doing anything is to just do it more. You got to put in the hours.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you just have to. You have to do it. Like I always refer back to Shia LaBeouf's fun little rant. Just do it. Just
Do
you want to draw, do it. If you want to write, do it. You know, I'm amazed at people that say they're writers or artists, and I ask, well, how long do you play, or like how much do you draw through the week? You know, those kind of things. They say, oh, well, I don't. I'm like, you're not
No.
an artist or a writer, because artists draw, writers write, and musicians play, and you know, and so there is no way that
Substitute.
yeah.
Sorry. Let me see. So, yeah, and I'd like to know what you know, if Frank does his own drawing, he's asking about it. What does he like to use? Because I always love seeing the comparison between, you know, the systems you use, the systems I use, see what other people are using, just to
Yeah. Well, you know, I've learned there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's artist subjective, and it's however you get the job done. That's the right way to do it, in my opinion. So,
oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm always interested to see how people do it. So, feel free to let us know, Frank. We don't have very many people with us tonight, but it'll probably come and go.
You might be competing. Yeah. I thought there were a couple pretty big live streams tonight in the whole comics world.
Yeah, there
so
is.
it just might be a thing.
Party for their Kickstarter tonight. Which is fine.
Well, I know there's a couple virtual cons going on too.
I almost didn't do this tonight because I was kind of tired. But I was like, you know, it's all about consistency. So I'm going to do it. And so I think that's part of the key about also making comics. Sometimes you may not feel like it, just do it.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
I mean,
that's a little tighter there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think
I
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I love the butt kicking gloves. You know what I mean? It's that will always. It taps the '80s A-Team feel. You know, when if Hannibal was pulling his gloves on, you knew somebody was gonna get hit, and it just I just. You know, I know it's an odd character to jump to. Everybody go Mr. T, but I love the language of comics. And yeah. Man, I paid a hybrid.
So Trash Man is hairy. That's one thing that I always I always have to remind myself towards the end of a sketch. Like, don't forget to put those lines in, because I'll forget once I get to the inking stage if I don't do that. So.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think I actually want to refine that sketch a little bit more. So let's do that one more time.
Well, let me see. Every once in a while, when you do these kind of things, people will message me directly.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I'm involved in one of these, people forget, and instead of talking to a live thing, I get commentary from people. Oh, that's cool. So I have to check. So pardon the little big noise. It's me being deaf and not, I'm watching your screen carefully, so I'm missing my little side screens here.
That's fine.
I think people might be interested in how you did your whole because we're talking about how you converted Trashman not to having irises as a sign of the power manifestation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's a really cool. So go on and why don't you go into that for a minute,
Yeah,
if you don't mind? I just think
I don't mind at all. So yeah, so Trashman, when he first came on the scene, he has irises, in his eyes, and so I'm not one of those people that leaves out the irises because they're hard to draw. I leave them out intentionally for a purpose, and so Trashman was very intentional with his, and so it actually he stopped having an iris when he first manifest his blue power. So that's kind of how I did that. And so actually I wait until we're in the scene. And the first time he starts to glow, I make those eyes glow real big. And then after that, no more irises. And there's only a couple of characters that don't have irises. And one of them has irises sometimes, but not all the time. They don't have irises when their powers start to manifest, but every other time they will have an iris. And that is Ion, which eventually I'll do one of these for Ion. And then Bone is one that doesn't have irises, like all the time doesn't have them because of his power level. And then the other one is who is the other one?
Rascal.
Oh, Rascal, yeah.
Because he has that really great red menacing glow thing going.
He's got the red eye, yeah.
And I love that combined with his heat vision abilities, because it just lends itself for that silhouetted, at some point a frame where he's silhouetted and all you see is like the red glow of his eyes. Just so much potential for like just menace out of that character. And people, I don't think, appreciate menace nearly enough. It's a wonderful thing in villains.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm actually on another page here. I'll just show it real fast. Maybe I'll show it. I'm working on a page right here. This is for the Hybrids 4 page for an Advocator thing that we're working on. And so I'm just inking some pencils and stuff, and so you can kind of get a little preview of that. But it really kind of goes into a little bit, and it really shows a Rascal's kind of personality and kind of his demeanor a little bit more, which is it's always fun to show off a character's deeper side, especially in something that is. Most people would look at a 4-page story and think, I don't really have to work much here. It's just a, little preview, but it's actually that 4 pages is an integral part of the story. And so if you don't pick up that Advocator, you're going to miss out on some really, really cool, really cool things.
Oh yeah. Have to be quiet because I'm excited. I'm stupidly excited about that. I feel like the little geek rising up in me, just like, you guys don't know what I know, and I'm not allowed to say. So I'm just going to sit here like,
The little geek always rises up inside of me. I love that stuff. I'm not just the creator. I'm also a fan.
Honestly, I think if you don't have that little geek rising up and just getting stupidly passionate about it, you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? That's a little hardcore sounding, but
I get it. Yeah.
This is such a labor of love, and it should be that should resonate. And it does for me. Like I said, when I got to see issue 1, and it's really weird because I had heard, I'm trying to remember if I heard about you through Brian's show first, or if it was just something that came up on a search. But I saw the issue 1 was a free download, and I had actually downloaded it before I even knew you were, a thing. And I'm like, this is really cool. Why don't they do more comics like this? And then,
Little did you know, I was doing 5 of them.
yeah, I mean, it's mind blowing that, to read something, go, this is cool, meet the creator, and he's awesome, and then to be tangentially involved. It's a lot like going, wow, I love the Batmobile. Hey, there's Batman. Hey, I'm touring the cave. Oh my gosh. Though that might be if I ever meet Danny. Anyhow.
Yeah. Wait till you meet Danny. So yeah, Danny's a real character. He's a real. He is a character. Wait till you meet Danny. He's awesome. He really is. He might be one of the watchers. I don't know. One of the guys watching.
That would really, really make sense. Because he's on the list of people I've wondered if they weren't hybrids and either didn't know it yet or knew it and just.
He is not a hybrid. I will give you a spoiler there. Danny is not a hybrid. He doesn't need to be.
I love the concept of the accidental low-powered hybrids.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I was reading the X-Men, I was always really interested in the characters who had enough powers or, manifestation to be labeled, oh, that's a mutant. But it's not like they got the genetic lottery to really be able to do much to defend themselves in that situation.
Like the mutant who's just furry. I've just got a lot of hair on me.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not even a mutant. I have the werewolf disease. But, it's like hypertrichinosis. Anyhow, I knew I'd find it. But that's what makes your universe great, because part of it is nearly anybody can get activated at nearly any time. So even if they aren't, they could be.
They could be.
And even the ones who definitively aren't are still functional. It's not the DC style where you have these people walking like gods amongst you and you just sort of have to grin and take it and hope somebody, No. Oh, and Cindy Cap is waving it at you.
Hey, Cindy. Cindy has an ad in the latest Hybrids book. So when you pick that up, you'll see an ad for her books. Definitely go check out her material. I have not got a chance to read it yet, but I have looked at some of the synopsis, and I think, is it synopsis or synopsi? Or synopsis?
I think it's synopsis, because it's synapses, and they're very similar word structure. So synopsis, I think so. Anyway, Cindy, it's your stuff. Maybe you can answer that question. He said, shamelessly baiting her into conversation.
Stephen S. Are you here, man?
Hi there.
Hey, how's it going, dude?
Hi there. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. Don't got your video.
Luke, it's hey, you don't know me, but Joe Spicer sent me your way.
Oh, sweet.
I've been I just recently pledged to your Hybrids 5 campaign, and he sent me a link to this chat, so I wanted to come and see what you guys were up to.
Awesome. We're live on the air, so that's great too. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing you in there. I'm glad that you got a hold of Hybrids. Have you read your digital copies yet? Are you there? I don't hear him.
What was that?
Oh, did you read your digital copies yet?
Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, maybe you can hear me.
I didn't get a digital copy, but I'm sorry, you're a little choppy right now.
Oh,
Here, let me see if I can send you a chat.
Okay.
Okay, well, while he's sorting that out, Cindy Kep said Luke did a fabulous job turning my pick into a really good ad. So she really digs your what you did.
My design work. Thank you. Yeah. Turns out I actually went to school for graphic design. And then I got my kind of some, degree stuff for that. But
sorry, my old chair's a little defective, and the spring just dropped me.
that is not a problem.
Yeah, that's. I'm waiting for the lag to catch and watch my head drop at this point because it's going to be amusing. But there it is. But yeah, you're the design elements, especially like in the cards you made for hybrids. It was just really classic, and the understanding. It reminded me of the old '90s. I think X-Men cards.
Well, Joe actually did the design on that.
Oh, really?
Joe is a very talented design guy. Like that's kind of like people don't realize that, but Joe is. If Joe doesn't like it, there's probably a reason why, and I always try to make sure Joe likes it.
Well, he's the boss. It makes sense to make sure he approves. But it's neat to have a boss who's competent.
Yeah,
it's a rare thing sometimes.
Joe's a great writer and artist in his own respect as well. I've always liked his work. It's quite different than mine, which I think I like. I think that's why I like it. I like stuff that is, much different than my own, and so I'm able to enjoy it. So I'll be able to. There's some private chat over there. Pull over that private chat. And we'll see what. It looks like he's not in. Oh,
let me see. We'll make sure nobody's pinging.
Audio's a little choppy. Yeah, he keeps saying audio's a little choppy.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people are using the systems.
I noticed some trouble with that on Sunday when we live streamed for church, and then
but if this still, I know we mentioned it earlier, but just the fact that we can share screens, we can see and comment with just about anybody on a product as it's being made. I mean, you think back to the old days of sitting in like a cafeteria or a library or freaking Taco Bell trying to sketch out your comic, You got people leaning in. This is just amazing to me. And
I used to go to a coffee house in Kokomo, where I used to live, and I would draw during the day. I would go there and draw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those were good days. Yesterday was a good day.
Well, I would hope your birthday is a good day.
It was a good day. My son made a one of those cookie cake. He made it from scratch. He's 10.
Cool. That's talented.
Yeah, he's really quite good at that stuff. I'm like, he could be a famous chef or something.
You never know. You absolutely never know. Oh God, that is so cool.
Yeah, it's taking shape now, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Like the shading you're doing has it's light years past where you were. And I honestly, I think the shading on this is better than some of the stuff I've seen you do in like the last month.
It is.
It's like cross. Yeah, it feels that way.
I just keep it's
really
one of those things. You just keep working at it, and my goal is that everything that I do will be better, like than the last thing that I did. So at least it better be.
Cindy
That's my
Kemp
goal.
says very nice, so she must agree with me. And I do. You mentioned that Trash Man is kind of hairy, and I dig that because it's there. That's a level of realism that I think falls away a lot, and it just adds a grittiness to a character,
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't know if we're going to get into inks today. I don't even know if I want to do inks on this. I kind of like the pencil.
Yeah, it's really.
It's
really coming off solid.
I'll eventually do an ink because everything gets an ink if I'm going to color it and put it in a book somewhere. And I might use this for the star charts that we're doing with Starcross Comics. Basically, we're getting ready to do a short book, about 8 pages, and it's going to have character information from several of our characters in it. And so, but then we're eventually going to do like full blown, like full issues where it has all of our characters in them and stuff. But we're just going to give a little teaser out to the mailing list. So if you're not a part of the mailing list, go over to starcrosscomics.com and join that mailing list, or you can go to lukestonestudios.com and join the mailing list there as well. So it's the same mailing list. You'll get updates about everything that we do.
Shoot, I'm gonna have to double check. I think I'm on that. But see, that's great. And I always love the reference stuff, Sometimes I've actually liked some of the reference stuff better than some of the comics I've read. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It gives
Punisher was great for that.
Yeah, I always like that. It kind of gives me an insight of kind of the characters that, it's kind of like I get some inside knowledge, and I like it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is nothing better for a fan than feeling like you know something that other people don't.
Yeah.
And then when you get to see like something that get Easter egged, like referenced in the main work that is a tie to something that maybe other people missed. Oh,
yeah,
that's the good stuff right there.
I love to Easter egg all that information from like the back of the cards and stuff like that. I love doing that stuff. It makes me. I know it makes me a huge geek, but I don't mind. I don't care.
Well, what it also does is it's another level of draw for the reader portion of it, not just the person who's following the comic, but the person who's really reading and trying to get into it, that sort of next level. It rewards them, and I think it's an attractant for fans because it means the comic isn't dumb. I hate to put it that way, but it's like if there's background and there's Easter eggs, and you can feel the sort of the way the canon is affecting the book. Cindy Cap agrees. She says Easter eggs are fun.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few. And I can't tell people enough to read hybrids just so they can set up for issue 5. Issue 5, I don't get sucker punched easy. I don't get surprised easy. And issue 5 is one of the best turnarounds just from a literary standpoint. I mean, wow. And I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say, wow. And you're laughing because you got to see me about 15 minutes after I got through it.
Yeah. We'd been talking for a couple of days. I'm like, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'd already given you a couple of spoilers, and but I didn't want to. I knew that there was that one coming up, and I was like, I don't want to waste that for you because I want you to be able to enjoy that too.
even the things that were spoiled, they were delivered well enough. It didn't feel like they were spoiled, if that makes any sense. They were that well written.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you
But-
saying that.
But what you're talking about, man, it just people don't quite grasp how awesome it is, and I'm just amazed that we can sit here and we can talk to comic book artists, we can talk to writers, get input, see the stuff being born before your eyes, and it amazes me that this isn't just bogged down with people right now, because it will be in the future. I'd lay money on the table.
I'm not
Like-
famous, so it's pretty easy to see. I got like
You're
4
not-
people
yeah.
that are interested.
Yet, and remember, these things have longevity.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the number of views, like even Brian's live shows get in a week, they're kind of perennial. People keep coming back,
Yeah.
and this is
So,
something.
yeah. So my YouTube, like, some of these people, it looks like everybody's watching off of Facebook right now, but I'm also streaming right now live to my YouTube, and so YouTube is where you can go back and really watch this stuff, and so hopefully people will start to see that.
Well, when you post this on YouTube, are you playing with the tags? Because
I don't hardly ever do stuff like that. So
that actually, I found the keyword tags really attract people. So if you put live draw, how to draw in the tags, or how to draw superheroes, you'll start picking up more people from the prospect of watching. It'll come up in the search engines.
oh, okay, that is good.
That's stuff I picked up with the sword fighting channel.
That is stuff I needed to know. That's good stuff to know.
Well, I'm glad I could give back a little. Let's see. Still nothing much in the comments, but like I said, we're competing with a Babylon 5 live panel right now.
Ooh. What am I doing over here?
If you want to see dedication, the fact that I'm over here doing this just tells you how much I believe in hybrids, right there. But but no, it's so I think people are going to come back and visit this because you just don't get an opportunity to see. You know, the best way I've learned a lot of times how to improve is to watch somebody who knows what they're doing do what they do. And just being able to glance up and say, okay, he's using this many layers. He's using, these settings.
Yeah,
This
you could use as many layers as you want. That's my thing. Like I remember like people are like, oh, how many layers? And I'm like, I'll use every. I just got to the point to where if I needed it, I used another one.
Yeah,
because I never run out. I tried to do it in fewer steps when I was drawing traditionally, but because you're wasting paper and
right.
you're wasting pencils and stuff like that. So
I know on some of the older applications, a lot of times they'd limit you to 3 or 5 layers.
Yeah.
And a lot of people learn more by watching someone watching someone do it than by shadowing. And that's Cindy Kett. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have acquired so many of my numerous skills by just being quiet and somewhat supportive in a corner while people are doing also. That's how I learned to armor. That's how armor. A lot of my martial arts stuff came from just watching and paying attention. Obviously the drawing. So this is a great opportunity for folks to just pick up just the way you do your shading strokes, and it's just classic. It really is. There's an iconic feel to Trash Man.
I not copy. Don't like to use the word copy, but I definitely I draw a lot of inspiration from Jack Kirby in his work with the Hulk.
Well, it's funny because I hear you say that, and it's almost like there's a hesitance in your voice. If you don't study the guys who made the art happen, if you don't study people like Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Bob Kane, these people who form the basis, and we all get where we are by standing on the shoulders of giants. And
Mike Zeck is another one that I really, really loved his art and the way he drew. And so I a lot of the way I draw, Trash Man even comes across the way, from some inspiration from Zeck's work.
Now, what titles was Zeck involved with? Because I remember the name, but I'm not placing it
So
to an art
many.
style.
I really liked his work on the Secret Wars. So that was kind of my main draw from him. So
Oops.
Secret
Secret War. Cool. Yeah, I mean, really, it looks
cool. So let's let's save this before we get too far. I haven't been saving it at all.
Jeez.
Let's save. I'm just going to do that there and then hit there. And then let's go ahead and throw one more. And let's go ahead and do an ink. That's a good pencil. I can sell that pencil, or I can sell the ink that I'm getting ready to do. So I'll go ahead and do an ink as well.
It'll be interesting for me to see the difference, because obviously mechanical art, the difference between inking and pencils is very apparent, in the line quality and feel. How that transfers over to digital is interesting. And I know I'm kind of play-by-play. Folks, as we can see, Luke's working on a nice outline here of the ear. But it was a bold decision to go with the ear, folks.
Let's start with the ear on this one. So, Luke, why wasn't that you started with the ear? I saw the ear. I thought maybe I'd just start there.
And
when you're trying to fill dead space, it can get funny.
Oh God, I have a few of my drawing things because people ask me to just like draw on a whiteboard, goof around, and I started doing it, and I realized I grew up watching way too much. Happy Trees, Bob Ross.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, this mecha here, he needs a buddy, maybe a little tank. Yeah, we'll throw an explosion over here,
happy
little explosion. There are no mistakes. They're just happy accidents. But
I do believe that.
Oh, absolutely.
Trash Man was a happy accident. When I first drew him, I was just doodling, and I came up with this guy, and it turned out pretty good.
Well, obviously, saying Trash Man turned out pretty good might be one of the better statements of the century. But yeah.
So if you notice, when I go in with the ink, I start to even shade start to pull in the shapes a little bit more.
Right. I've never seen somebody manipulate the lower layers as much as you do for what are you doing? Are you just pulling down the you're making it paler, but what process lets you do that?
Oh, I am. If you see over here, you can see kind of where my stuff, where it highlights, and you can probably see. You can't really, because it's dark. You can't really see I got my hands over there. But what I'm doing is I'm going in. I'm creating a new layer of hue and saturation, and I colorize the lines to be a blue, and then I'm also pulling down the saturation and the brightness. So that it's just kind of like a photo blue line, and then I and then I've made it into an action where when I hit the button, it also creates a new layer. So that's what I'm doing there.
Cindy Kep says, "Where's the kaboom? The earth-shattering kaboom?"
On this one,
Well,
not here.
I left my phase 34 molecular deatomizer at home, but I think we can make it work. Marvin the Martian probably borrowed that, but
yeah, I would have done it, but I wanted to do this pose because I needed a pose of Trashman.
Well, and this has that. This almost feels like if you were doing a compendium cover, you know?
Yeah.
If you're really doing like the biography of Trashman and you wanted that impressive but almost isolated pose, you know?
Yeah, this is for a stat sheet. So the background, there's not going to be a background. It's going to, anything about background is going to be gone because it's going to be put on the page with the information. So, so there's a reason.
I always love the purity of this kind of sketch. You know, backgrounds are great, and they establish, and it's all part of a system. And a lot of people don't practice them enough. I'll admit I'm not, but there's something about just here he is, just in his iconic, almost like neutral badass stance, And there's no distraction, Plus, the heavy ink gives it that noir, black and white feel that I think, with all the coloring options the world has, we lose sight of the impact of just a really good black and white or limited grayscale,
Yeah, and typically most of my art, I don't render out a lot because I've got a great colorist and I just allow him to do his work. I don't want to get in his way. I'll somewhat establish a light source. But sometimes, he might see something that might work better than what I have even planned for. And so I'll allow him to do his work. But I like doing this stuff right here because then I get these heavy inks and I get to really play around with it a bit. He's got the hard part here. He's been to the barbers recently. I would like to be able to do that as well.
Oh, I think if my hair gets any poofier, I'm going to pick up radio signals, but I'm double checking because sometimes there's a little extra lag in the commentary, but no, okay, cool. I love when the picture suddenly clears and it just jumps sharp, but this is just so solid. It's just
inking is almost therapeutic. Of course, I've had other inkers tell me that my inking is terrible, and they're probably right.
Your inking is distinctive. I hate when people are like, that's terrible, unless it's something like your anatomy is off, or your posing is really undynamic or something. That's one thing where you can go, look, that's terrible. But when it comes to inking, the line weight and shading is really a personal preference kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Kirby. You have that old school. A lot of the newer art, in my opinion, soapbox, but is almost too clean. It's too polished. It has too much we're making this to jump immediately to animation. I love anime. I love it. I love animation style. Like the original Batman, the animated series was incredible, but for a comic, you almost want that gritty, textured, because you have the time to sit and really look at it and see it. So I dig it. They're wrong. I can say that.
Yeah, and they might have been right if they were looking at like issue 1. My inking was terrible. I've learned line weights and things like that a lot better than I knew then. I had an idea, I'd been drawing some comics, but not like I do now. So they might have been right. Who knows? Or if they weren't, I just don't care.
See, and that's how it is, If there's a thing that we talk about around here about, never tell somebody that something can't be done till, while they're doing it. Just because it can't be done and somebody else might know it can't be done. The person doing it might not know, and they may just pull it off,
Yeah.
So it's the line between critique and just inflicted discouragement gets crossed too often.
Yeah, and I've never actually, because I'm poor, I've never paid another inker to do what I can do myself. Or what I think I can do myself. And who knows, maybe an inker would take my work to the next level. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see.
Well, you can always talk to somebody and be like, here's a sample. I want to see what you do, just to see what would happen, because the inkers are as diverse as the colorists, as the pencilers,
That they are.
And I really believe if you need something bad enough, it will come to you, Not necessarily want, but if you need something, it just sort of works out.
Yeah, I just don't know that I need an inker. Maybe I do. If I do, then maybe one will come to me. But
and we just got 3 comments that hit pop, 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 and it could be my net being dodgy. But Cindy Kep said, "Looks pretty amazing. The one who says it cannot be done should not interrupt the one who is doing it." And Travis Gibb, hi Travis, says that looks just like me. Well, I admire your self-esteem, and that's awesome. That's cool because
yeah, it does look just like you.
Brian S. Dawson says your inks are perfect for your style, and that's another valid point.
I like Brian. Now Brian does my layouts for me. Like on hybrids and stuff. So if you like the composition of the pages, most of that is him.
Oh wow!
It speeds me up.
Sure.
Yeah, it speeds me up to be able to not have to worry about it. So I don't have to, because I don't normally second guess myself with all the poses and stuff like that.
Oh, that makes sense. Travis said more the messy hair and people calling me trash man.
If I just give a little more messy hair there, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I bet Luke would take a commission, if you paid him enough to draw you in a mirror, looking, on one side of a mirror and Trash Man on the other. I bet with enough funds, I don't know how big that number is, but I bet with enough funds something like that could happen.
Everything can be bought. Everything can be bought.
Sorry, I need to get my pimp out here. I'm pimping Luke out, but opportunity knocks, or if I can get you more money, I'm doing my job.
There we go.
Oh, let me see.
Trashman. You know what Trashman's real name is?
I do, but that's because I just read it.
Okay.
I have it in the files. I don't know if anyone else does.
Trashman's real name is Clarence Mahoney. And here's how I came up with the idea for that. Sitting in So Trash Man's not quite 9 feet anymore, but he used to be 9 foot tall.
Okay.
I have the card here. Yeah, he used to be a 9 foot tall character. Let me see what I've got. I've got him now at 7'2". I thought that was like more realistic, but he used to be 9 feet tall.
That lets him fit indoors,
Yeah.
stooping.
Yeah. But so I had an idea. We actually had a band we were going to name. We were going to name it this. Have you ever been through those drive-throughs and it has the 9 foot clearance?
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a band. We called it 9 foot clearance.
Oh, that's great.
And so Trash Man, that's how he got his name, because he used to be 9 feet tall. But I shortened him up a little bit. Felt like it wasn't realistic enough for him to have flown under the radar as a hybrid.
No. But I do love the people who power up and get bigger as they do. So there's always options.
Yeah.
Brian S. Dawson said Bert and then JK. I'm not sure on the reference, but
I don't know.
I wasn't sure if that was one that was.
He thought maybe his real name is Bert.
Oh. No. There's another Bert floating around in the wings, but not Trash Man. Now
Brian
I just have
is
this
a
image
great
of
artist.
Trash Man punching Grabloids. Is he?
Yeah, he's a fantastic artist. Probably my favorite indie artist that's out there that works in the independent field. Probably my favorite, which makes me really happy that he does work for me. He works on a comic called Mahoney's. He did the art for a book called that we're releasing with Starcross Comics called Biblical Proportions, and he did the he took over for another artist that kind of flaked on Ken Keller. He took over for him on art on the back half of that book. And you can tell because the pages that Brian did were by far superior to the other artist. And if you want to know who that other artist is, you can just go look up that book. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to offend anyone, but I do want to point out that Brian's work is absolutely superior to some people's work. And he is worth all the accolades he can get.
We had 3 comments come up. I didn't want to cut into, but Travis said to Brian, "I saw someone's art recently that looks like your style, and then it was shockingly close." Brian, I assume responding to what you were just saying about it, his work, says, "Wow, Luke, thanks."
That's high praise.
I think yeah. I mean, it's just another layer of the awesomeness that's going on. I mean, Hybrids is awesome. I get it working, and I get to bump into these amazing people. This is just, I just kind of feel like getting up after these broadcast things and running in circles like a little kid, just like, oh my gosh.
Man, I get to work with some amazing people too, man. It's one of those things where it's, I'm doing a book with Travis, and that's, that's an honor to be able to do that. Travis is an amazing writer. And that book is called Voodoo Nations, and I'm really excited about getting that one out into the world.
Okay, yeah, I read about I've read it mentioned in some things.
Yeah, I'll be finished inking
is
the
that
cover.
Something you want to plug?
Sure. I'll be finished inking the that cover here soon. But you can definitely go check out voodoonations.com. That's not got a .com. I'm silly. Go check out Voodoo Nations on Facebook, and you can get the updates on that. We've got a little bit of art up there already. We've got a whole team on board. We've got an editor. We've got a letterer. We've got a colorist. We've got the writer, and we've got the artist. So it is ready to go, and we're going to be working on that and taking that to Kickstarter here soon, very soon. So this month I hope to have a few more pages of that drawn, at least the first 5 or so pages. And so looking forward to that. I might actually do some pages on one of these Wednesday night live draws and draw the pages while I'm here.
I think that would be really cool, and just because I love getting to see the stuff. Travis Gibb actually asked what the RPG dice pool is used for the Hybrids RPG. I plan on buying the .com this weekend. Believe it or not, you forgot I make websites for a living. Well, Travis, this is actually something I can answer. That if you've played D&D, you're going to find it to be it's going to feel familiar, and it's going to be very streamlined. It's not quite a D20 system for legal reasons and for what I feel is simplicity, but it's very, very comfortable. And it's going to most stuff's going to rely on just your basic D20. I could get more into the combat and stuff, but I don't want to spoil too much. But honestly, if you've done systems like D&D, you're going to find it very familiar, because I wanted it to feel like something that established gamers could drop right into, and that people who happen to start there, when they branch out to other systems, will be
Nick,
able
you
to
froze, I think.
to
he's
run.
back.
That answers.
Can you hear me, Nick?
Yes, I can hear you. Did I lose everything I just said?
Just the last part.
Okay. I wanted the game to be very easy for players to get into, so it's going to feel like D&D. And for the people who start there, they'll be able to jump comfortably to the more complicated systems. But I believe gaming should be easy to play, fast to learn, and that the system should always serve the story, not the other way around.
Which is why you're working on the game.
Thank you. Cindy Kep is, I'm battery deprived. I'll catch up to you later. Y'all do cool stuff. Well, Cindy, I hope you enjoy it, have fun, and I hope you can fix that battery problem.
Nice hanging out with you tonight, Cindy. Thank you for stopping by and watching, especially when there was a Firefly thing going on that you could have been at.
Travis says, that's awesome. I can't wait to check it out. One of my comics has an RPG connected to it. It's a book called Dog Days. And Brian S. Dawson says, off subject, Luke, what are you using for your live stream? Looks great.
Oh, thanks. I'm using StreamYard. So check out StreamYard if you want to live stream. It works really well most of the time. Not all of the time, but most of the time it works pretty well. And you get allowed to get these kind of cool things going on in the background that really make it look professional. And I am not professional. I just I play one on TV.
You undersell and undervalue yourself, sir.
Nah.
I let it go.
I like to call it under promise over deliver. That's what I like to call it.
And Brian says thanks. Yeah, that's oh god.
So,
you underselling yourself makes me wonder. Yeah.
It's weird to draw nipples.
That might be the best non sequitur of the entire broadcast. Just this audio clip of you saying it's weird to draw nipples. It is. It is weird. But God, somewhere Sarah is twitching and she doesn't know why. God, that if you ever do a highlight reel of your vids, that has to just get thrown in there.
Of course,
But,
but it is. I mean, it's weird to draw him, but it would be weirder if I didn't draw him with them.
Right. I completely agree. And that's one of those that gets skipped a lot, you know?
Yeah. It was a big deal when they put Batman took his shirt off and they drew nipples on him.
It was. Well, it was a big deal. Like on that front, the whole I Dream of Jeannie couldn't show her belly button either. So I mean, the levels of what we're comfortable with is always interesting to me.
We don't have to be comfortable with these things either. Trust me. Like drawing nipples is still weird for me.
I truly get I truly get that. That's some of the difficulties they don't talk about. That at some point you're going to have to draw something where you're just like,
This is not wrong. It's like I'm drawing a nipple, you know.
It's even weirder when you're trying to find the reference art. You know what I mean? It's like, because that's when somebody's going to walk over your shoulder and you're like leaned in looking at some guy's chest trying to figure out how to do this.
I've got like 30 pictures of dudes' nipples up on the screen, you know.
Gotta find the perfect nipple for Trash Man. It's just
I've got a mirror and I'm got my shirt pulled up. I got a mirror I'm looking at. What's the nipple look like?
On one side, because the other one,
yeah. It's like, is the right nipple different than the left one? I don't even know. Or back to that earlier question, what do you think about when you draw? That's some of the stuff I think about. That it's weird to draw a nipple.
You know, and it is funny. Yeah, it was a great question, and it's what I coming back to, because you don't think about what you're drawing, like while you're drawing it. Almost, a lot of times it's like I'm never all the way on the project I'm on. So if I'm writing something, the back of my head's got a picture trying to form, and then as soon as I move over to sketch something, the back of my mind's like, hey, you know what you can do? So I end up with like the applied ADD spin between 2 or 3 projects. Let's see. No new messages?
Dude, is that your rooster again?
That is my rooster. You see, they know when I'm enjoying myself and I'm trying to watch something. So my roosters, the more important it is to me, the more they have to make
it's
noise.
Hilarious when I hear that rooster going off. I'm like, yeah. Someone's a Hoosier.
I actually he's finally gotten cranky, but my black rooster used to ride around on my shoulder everywhere, like from when he was a chick. So I spent like a year with this little rooster, and I'd have people stopping alongside the road to wave at me and ask, "Is that a hawk?" No, it's just my chicken. We're gonna go out and check the mail now. It's like I am the most Indiana person. If you look at the field, you can see where rednecks come from. But
yeah, I'm from Indiana originally, born and raised in a place called Kokomo.
Now, see, I grew up in LaPorte County. I'm not originally like birthed from Indiana, but I grew up here, so you have that. And Kokomo's a neat town.
It can be, yeah.
Brian Dawson, have a good evening, Jets. I'm off to work on my own stuff. Well, gosh, you've got stuff too.
Thanks for joining us tonight, man. It's good to.
Thank you. I'm fun. I hope he comes back next time, and it's really a pleasure.
Yeah, he's a very talented artist. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's working on. He just got done layouts for the. I gotta get a script out to him so that he can work on it, which means I've got to get a script done so that I can get it out to him. And before I get it out to him, I've got to get it out to I've got to get it out to dang it. It does that all the time. I just had to download a new driver, and sometimes it messes up the pressure sensitivity, and it's annoying. But I have to get it out to Chuck Pino. Chuck Pino is my editor.
Travis has a really good question. Is Hybrid set in a fictional city or a real city?
Real city. It takes place really kind of all over the place, but the majority of what we see takes place in a place called Franklin, Tennessee.
And that's an actual place, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's just right outside of Nashville. It's someplace I'm pretty familiar with. I've been to Franklin several times over the years, being in music and doing that kind of stuff. And I always thought, this would be a great place because it's just quiet enough and it's just close enough to a big city that some weird stuff could go on there. And so that is where the majority of our stuff is based, is in Franklin, Tennessee.
Well, see, that is great to know for your RPG guy, because I wasn't sure if it was real. I keep forgetting to ask. So thank you, Travis, because you've actually made my life easier. Because, at some point I'm going to have to do maps and different things of that area. And if there's a real world area, I can be like, hey, that could work. That could work. I love the idea of 20 years from now, Franklin, Tennessee, having a plaque that says home of hybrids,
Yeah.
See, I think of things like that.
That would be cool.
Without trying, you might generate a whole tourism boom in Franklin, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers Travis's question. Good questions. And these are really solid questions and comments. And, I appreciate that sort of thing.
I
the
do
Nevermorians spoiled.
Yeah. I do too, because it having a video with me just drawing and all the dead space, because I can't use copyrighted music. Having good questions and good comments, it makes for better playback.
Now, I had somebody trying to contact me about producing non-copyrighted music, so that might be something. If it turns out to be useful, I'll send your way.
Sweet. Yeah, if you are in an independent rock band and you would like to have your music played while I do these live draws or any of my other videos, please just go ahead and go to lukestonestudios.com. Contact me, let me know, and I would be happy to work out the details for that.
I would love to see a hybrid soundtrack. Because some books have soundtracks, even if the movie's not done there. I would love to see somebody just hammer out just an awesome all original soundtrack to like Trash Day. Because how cool would that be?
Songs inspired by the comic.
Yeah.
So me and my friends, when we used to do this stuff, I got a friend named Brandon, and we used to role play and write comic books and stuff like that. He was going to be the writer, I was going to be the artist, and we used to think, we also played music, so it was like, oh, we can make our own soundtrack and stuff. And now that I actually play music and do all this other stuff, I'm like, I don't want to do my own soundtrack. It's too much work. I'd rather draw the comics and then let somebody else do the fun stuff.
It's funny you say that, because you are the best delegator of a creator I think I've ever met. There's never a hesitance. There's never a this is my baby. No, I have to do everything.
Well, I am a firm believer that an IP at some point, if it's going to be successful, needs to be handed over. It can't just be mine. It has to be, other people have to be able to have ownership in it. It has to be theirs too. And so that's what I try to do.
It's a neat way of doing things, and you always have a vision. You know what I'm saying? Every time I talk to you, it feels like you have a roadmap.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna rule the world. I've got a plan. I've got vision
and I
out the butt, so
swear,
just go with it, man.
every time you say that, I believe it a little bit more. You know, like not even kidding. Every time you say that, he just might.
Yeah.
See, people don't know it, but this is the time. This is going to be, and like we've got one viewer, so I assume it's Travis.
Yeah, probably. I
But-
think Travis just said, I can't wait to get my issues of hybrids. I'll have lots of questions. Hopefully you won't have that many questions. Hopefully I'll have answered some of them inside the books.
Okay. He's going to have so many what's next questions. I know, because I almost feel like I should apologize to poor Luke, because he's trying to run his business and get stuff done, and he sends me these, and I blast through them, and I'm just like, it wasn't even, guys, it wasn't even funny. It's embarrassing looking back. Oh my god, this and this, and I gotta ask, this was
What about this? Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Oh my god, like
it got me excited. I was like, yes, someone sees it, they get excited about it. Loved it, absolutely loved it.
because I won't play favorites too much publicly, but I do have a favorite character in this book. Absolutely, I have a favorite character in this book.
Danny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So I won't play favorites totally. And the fact that he's not powered, it's just such a well-oiled, very cool, very philosophically sound character. There's an unflappableness, and it's like, oh, that hidden mystery. I just want to deep dive that guy. It's like, give me the dossier. I'm just going to dig through all this good stuff.
Yeah.
I want the notes. And then Luke, you look at me and you're like, well, it's all in my head. I'm like, I need to put a USB port in your.
Gotta write it down now. Yeah. Until recently, I didn't realize anyone would really be interested in the whole like hybrids universe as much as I was. So it's like, well, they'll wait for the books, but the more people that get a hold of it, the more excitement starts to get generated about it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should get these notes out so that other people can kind of play in the sandbox as well.
It will make it easier, and it will keep consistency in the writing later and the feel, because you have a very distinct. It's hope in spite of overwhelming odds, and that's a message we need. Aside from all the coolness, that's what we need in this universe. And all of a sudden, I'm getting an echo. My feed must be working better.
Ooh, that's cool. That turned out good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do that. I'll look at something and I'm like, oh wow, that was good.
Well, I think that means you're paying attention.
Yeah. Then sometimes I'm like, oh, that was terrible. You'll notice when I do that, I'll break out the eraser. I'm like, I don't like that. And so I'll break out the eraser and get rid of it. Or I'll hit that undo button. That's why I like working digital. I can work fast digital because I'm not worried about making mistakes. See, like there. I'm not worried about stuff like that. Back. Reset the driver. There it goes.
Yeah. And it is funny because after you've been drawing a whole bunch of digital and you go back to draw something traditional, I've actually reached up and touched my paper.
Yeah, I've tried to shrink it before.
Yeah.
Tried to zoom in on my paper. I'm like, yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah. I literally not 20 minutes ago tried to. Well, not 20 minutes before the broadcast.
Yeah, we've been on here a while already. We are at an hour 23, and my goal is to always be done within 2 hours. So,
well, I mean we'll
definitely hit 2 hours. Yeah, we'll be done within 2 hours.
Well, see, that's groovy. And I realized because you're constantly drawing over your work, it just reinforces. Because I was trying to figure out how you got so consistent so fast. But if you're drawing like you're inking, then drawing over it, you're going to keep training the exact same shapes,
Yeah, and that's really been the key is the multiple layers of working with something so that I start to I gain muscle memory really quick.
Right. A wise man once told me, if you want what somebody has, do what they do. And that's part of why, from a very self-mercenary standpoint, watching something like this is so just fundamentally cool. Because it gives you that chance to see stroke for stroke how stuff is done. It's another thing I love is
my canvas a lot. Some people don't do that. I see people that draw with like everything is always justified to the center, like it's always this, like dead center and never moved like around like that. And I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how they do it. I like to move my canvas like I would a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. And the being able to zoom is it just spoils you. It really does, because it's like.
So I'm actually working right now at 61%. This is an 11 by 17. So this would be 100% right here. Which is fun. I'm fine with that. But I like to be able to zoom out and see the whole thing, like I would be able to look at it. That's actually looking pretty good. I'm kind of happy with that. This is turning out just okay.
Let's see. And we are back up to 3 viewers. So if you're somebody who hasn't commented, please wade in. We have this is a great opportunity to just talk about hybrids. It's a great opportunity to talk about art as it's being created.
Ask me anything.
Yeah.
One of those ask me anything moments.
Oh yeah.
You don't get those very often.
Oh, how much to buy those boats in real life? Oh, those, I assume
boots.
Is that on the boots? Yeah, I was actually wondering who does the tailoring for the hybrids.
Chlorine does.
Chlorine does? Really?
Chlorine does. She's a cosplayer. This is something that you're learning this right now. Yeah. She's the cosplayer, and she is also a trained kickboxer, which you do learn about that in the cards and stuff. But she does kickboxing, but she's also into cosplay, and so she actually makes everybody's costumes. And you learn that in I think the second issue. She's made Trash Man's costume. One of the things that he makes mention, he goes, but I don't have a shirt. And she says, I know, and then winks at him. And so that is the first time that you realize that she has some kind of attention for the big guy. And she calls him big guy, and she also calls him T. 2 reasons. Because that's what my wife calls me. She calls me big guy. And T because my first name is Thomas. And I thought, that'd be really funny to have Trash Man have the weird nicknames like that too.
Well, and that's the kind of thing that keeps the human in a superhuman. Yeah. When they don't add those little real life kind of the little joys, the little sorrows, the little tweaks.
Yeah, those are the only areas that myself and Trash Man overlap. So he is not like a lot of creators will be like, oh, this is just a retelling of himself. He is not a version of me. That's the only difference. That's the only things from my life that I've taken to give to him, because I just thought that it was, I think that our relationship is cute, and I wanted to add some cuteness to his relationship with Chlorine. I don't like that. Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that every character is based off of me. I will put a little bit of my knowledge and experience into each one of them, but they all need to have their own voice. Each character has to have their own personality, their own voice. And if it's just me on all of them, then they don't. They have my voice. And so I do have them based off of certain characters, certain people that I have known. So basically, whenever you hear Danny say anything, the real Danny would say that. And he would say it just like that Danny would say it. So
that's that's just cool, and it never ceases to amaze me how much talent plus just humility is in your work. It really. Oh, okay. Can't comment on that right now. Okay. But let's see. Oh, something came up, and I thought it was on one of your comments, and it was something somebody sent to me that doesn't apply, and would get me in trouble because I have friends who love me, and they know that I'm trying to focus on being useful, and I have the attention of a squirrel sometimes.
Oh, me too. Man.
Or a dog. Squirrels, it's like what? But
I developed, it was issue 4, maybe issue 4. I developed this style of, or not really developed. I fell into this style of shading where I use a lot of lines that follow the same direction. I don't do a lot of the cross hatching. It's more, I'll use line weight and to make the depth, but use a lot of singular directions like that. I fell into that with a splash page on issue 4, I think it was. Yes, issue 4. Fell into that, and after I got done with the piece, people were like, "And that right there, Luke, that's your style. That's what you need to do. You need to shade everything like that." And
yeah,
they're smart, so I did it. I that's what I do now.
I was talking about a little earlier about how much I like your style of comics because you lose that when stuff is drawn for animation.
Yeah.
And that sense of detail and that sense of just the weight of the shading, you just can't do because you can't keep it consistent. I hate to say it, the last time I saw try and animate close to that level of hatching would be the Take On Me, music video. Yeah. Once again, dating myself, but
you just can't do it. Like it would take way too much work.
Let's see. But now
too much work. I mean, you see how many hours it takes to do this stuff.
Maybe you can get a deal with like one of the pattern companies when this is all said and done, because cosplay is a big thing. Maybe you can, sell Chlorine's patterns to Simplicity or something.
I would actually like to have people cosplay some of these characters, and so I give anyone that wants to cosplay these characters full permission to do so. And if you do that, please tag me and let me know, because I would love to promote your cosplay work.
Is there like a local Starcross Con in Florida or wherever?
No, well, Starcross is actually in Wisconsin.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
We've got a couple Floridians that work there, but it is a Wisconsin thing. So my goal is to eventually take a trip to Wisconsin and spend some time at their conventions that they hold there. They don't have one of their own. They just They just go to other ones that are in the area.
Well, who knows? Maybe arrangements can happen. God, I'm terrible. I'm constantly like, "Here, will this make you money? Whip. Will this make you?"
I'm all about finding ways to continue to monetize this because so I'm a full-time pastor and I want to continue to be that. That's my calling. People don't choose to be pastors. If they do, they're doing it wrong. They're called into ministry, and I'm called into ministry. But I am very fortunate to be able to work full time for the church. But one of these days, I would really like to be able to do comic books or art as my vocation, and that way I'm not a financial burden on the church, and we can use that money for other staff people. We can use that money for other things, and so I'm always interested in finding new ways to try to explore how that could happen.
And that mentality is a big part of why I'm so happy to be involved with what you do, because service is something that doesn't get talked about much anymore. And that level of selfless service where I don't want to be drawing from the people I serve if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
It's a rare thing, and it's very cool.
Yeah, well, I don't do it to get rich. I do it because it's something I love. I love the people that I pastor. I have a great relationship with them. They're all amazing. They're very supportive of this too, by the way. Especially the one who's in the comic book. Yeah. You've got to meet the real Danny. I tell you, you will love him. He is amazing.
Oh, I have absolute faith. I grew up around a lot of vets. My dad's a combat vet from Vietnam, and his way of paying back was working for the Veterans Hospital in Chicago. So I spent a lot of time just around different vets and stuff, and people who've given so much for our country. And they're just a lot of the coolest people in the world, And it's, like I said, it's great to remember that we write about fictional heroes, but the real ones are still out there.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Double checking. Yeah, no new messages. Feel like I'm talking a bit. I gotta double check everything. Get caught up. I'm one of those people where I get passionate on subjects.
Yeah. We'll zoom that out later. See what that looks like. But let's get over here and get this hand done.
Yeah.
You're getting real close to being done, dude.
Hey, that's cool. And you're just knocking it out. I mean,
I do try to work quick. There's this matrix of kind of like the price thing. And like when you're hiring someone to do a work, and so you calculate like if you're going to work with someone based on kind of like these three things. And one of them is, so it's speed, how good they are, and their price. And so you can't get fast. You can get fast and cheap, but they're probably not good. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you can get fast and good, but they're probably not cheap. So kind of that matrix. Have you ever heard that before?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's even more than just art. Like I've noticed that with like if I want to hire a mechanic, if they're fast and good, they're expensive.
It's like the 80-20 rules and stuff. There are things that will always apply.
Yeah.
And that's the neat thing when you're doing it yourself, because when you're doing it yourself, you're the one doing the slider. Is this good enough for the job, or do I have to work faster? And it's always
my goal is to be good and fast. Right now I'm fast and cheap. So I'm trying to get a little bit better so that I could be, so that I could justify a little higher price. I do try to work at a reasonable price for people. But I do want to eventually move those prices up so that I can again, just have a sustainable living off of it.
Right. The other thing I think people lose track of who don't do this, because one of the things I do at the conventions when I'm not running my games is I'll do on-site character design where sit down, tell me what you want your D&D character to look like, and I can whip it up for you. And I had somebody go, "Why are you charging $20 for something that only takes you 15 minutes?" I'm like, "Well, it's taken me 20 years to get where it only takes me 15 minutes."
Oh yeah.
And that's the sort of, that's the fox that as a hound I'm always chasing. Can I get faster? Can I get better? And it's neat to see someone else, farther and on a slightly different course on that journey. Let's see. Double checking. Yep. Nope. Nothing new there. Nothing new
The
here.
hair's is usually one of the last things that I draw on Trash Man.
Well, that makes sense because you want to make sure, one, it's the layering mentality. Even if you're not using alternate layers, you skeletal and then muscle, then skin, then effects, then hair. But you're very good at drawing it and keeping it looking natural, because a lot of times you end up with like a shorthand connected Z's as body hair on somebody,
Yeah, I someone said early on, like, you're pretty good with hair. I don't know how I got good with hair. I don't know what it was about hair that different kinds of hair, different kind of like ethnic hair. I'm pretty decent with. I just like to do different kinds of hair now. I don't know why.
I would hazard, because so much of your shading is based in usually single direction varied line weights. The process of shading and the process of doing hair is mechanically similar.
Yeah, it is.
So you're looking at it, your eye is already geared towards that process. Oh, I got a good question that I don't know if people shoot you. A lot of comic book artists have trouble either drawing men or women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you find women to be more challenging to draw?
Yes. I actually, and I've been working on drawing women a lot. Again, it's one of those, if you see all the references, you're like, you've got a lot of people in swimsuits. Yes, I do, because I try to, and just different body types too, because I don't want to always draw all of my women to look the exact same. I don't. Yeah, there's the standard comic book look that people will typically. What I'm doing now is I'm just turning off all these bottom layers, so that I've just got the ink, so that I can just go over that and make sure that it looks right.
And the dreaded making sure that what's on the layer is on the right layer, because Lord knows I have hopped layers too many times in the years and gone, oh no.
I used to make a whole bunch of multiple layers, but I've gotten really good about not doing that. So, because I've screwed up so much.
So I can't see, how many are you rocking right now? 4 or 5?
I've got my base layer, and so here I'll just go back over it again, since we're almost done here. So
sorry,
I've got sketch, the first layer sketch, that I did, the rough, to kind of put out the, that you watched me do there first, and then I blue line that.
Right.
And then I did a tighter pencil. And I thought that pencil needed to be tightened a bit more, and so I did that, tightened it once more, and then blue line that, and then ink. So 1, 2, 4. 4 layers.
See,
4 art layers in there.
I would almost love to see the process of you going through the layers done up as a GIF that people can see, because it really shows the process. I mean, it's really, really educational. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
It does,
but it's
yeah.
like,
I'm not opposed to doing that.
Because you realize at some point there's going to be a drawing Trash Man the Luke Stone way kind of book floating out there. At some point you're going to have to codify your system for folks.
If people really want it, I'll give it to them.
I think, and this may be one of the defining conversations that we will always fall back to, you and I. I think you don't see the level of awesomeness and then the level of marketability of your background talents, because, and if somebody ever watches this and comments, I hope they do. I would love to see the behind the scenes book on even just the progress of the Trash Man arc. I know, because I used to read those a lot. A lot of times they'd come out for free comic book day and things like that, and that was always something I enjoyed. Was they'd show a frame and talk about what they did in this frame and how it became iconic about this character, and that pulling you into the mentality of a creator is just cool, and it's rare, but I think it's important for the people who take that next level, Well,
I'll let the comments tell me. If you want it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
I am not. Anyone who believes in what I'm doing enough to give me their hard-earned money, if they ask for it, I give it to them. I mean, that's just how it is. Within reason.
Obviously.
Careful. Rob Anderson might be watching sometime and be like, "Well, what was that?"
You know what? I have over the years turned down surprisingly lucrative opportunities for things like that because, there are things you do and things you don't. But that being said, I believe in I don't want to say repeat marketability, but it's like, okay, you're making a project right now. You are drawing something that has an intended purpose.
Yeah.
And that the money and time, the energy and time is going in to get this that will eventually be a marketable product. But instead of just doing that by filming it like you are, you get this secondary, benefit from the exact or almost the exact same amount of effort.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times I encourage you to jot down your notes, do things like the visual comparisons and turnarounds and stuff, because you keep that all in a file, and then you can come back to it one day, compile that into something, and the only effort you've added is more, is a little bit of organization, but you have another valuable product out of stuff you've done setting up the previous work. So it's just, and that's just one of my hangups. That's something I think about when I'm doing stuff. This is amazing.
I just like to go back in without the pencils.
Yeah.
To just kind of tighten up some of the pieces to make it look a little, make sure the shading's right, and that I'm not missing things, that I'm not leaving any opportunities on the table, so to speak. Don't like those. Back those up. Boot needs some work.
You've drawn something well with when an image that's slowly tumbling like it's doing cartwheels is still somehow intimidating. It's like every time you cut back, Trash Man's just sort of staring through you. And the lack of iris kind of gives this cheater where you're pretty sure his eyes are following you always anyway.
That's kind of the idea, just to make him a little more intimidating, And what's odd is, and I'll show this other, because I drew something for Doc and Azazel. And here, let me just say this for a second, and then I will zoom over to that real fast, because we've got like 10 minutes to go here. So keep in mind, let's do this. So here is the, center justified like that. Here is for the same piece, like, for the same book, here is my Doc and Azazel. I may put him with a smile. What's that?
I'm waiting for the lag to catch up visually because he's still padding around.
Oh, do you see it?
There it is.
Yeah.
It just to tell you, I love this. Is one of, if not my favorite pictures that you've ever drawn. I just love the sheer, almost painful smugness.
Yeah.
The Azazel's Hellboy if he went wrong, kind of. He just has that energy, snark and presence.
Yeah. So there's their pose, but then if you look at it in contrast with Trashman,
oh yeah,
he looks like he's ready for business, and they are smug.
Well, it's still just a long game to them,
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love. Not giving away, but a lot of villains almost take it too serious. And there's a point where, like I was talking, I expected the Kylo Ren hacking the world apart because I'm thwarted, and Big A just has this perspective of that's okay. I have time.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
He's been around for a
while.
while.
A lot of people don't give the maturity enough. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, so like he knows, that you can lose a battle, and he's looking beyond the here and now, and he's got a bigger plan that he needs to spend time on, and so he's not worried about it. He's still trying to figure out how he can use Trashman as a weapon for himself.
And that mental flexibility is what makes him such a good villain. It's like, so you can do that. There's got to be a way to profit from this,
Yeah. He just gets more annoyed than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's a setback, and he doesn't care for setbacks.
I love that, and I love the phrasing because I swear I could almost hear him. You know what I mean? And of course, I have no idea what he quote unquote actually sounds like, but the whole I do not care for setbacks. Just it's so classy.
He's got a voice, yeah. Like there's a he's got his own voice. He's like, I don't care for setbacks. He loses his temper sometimes, but not often. Sometimes I'll do like little things like this, because like I just feel like it would look right to have that on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I think a couple more little lines here or there, and I think that we are done with Trashman.
I think you're done with this picture. I'm never done with Trashman.
Trashman's a cool character, man. I like him. I like him a lot. And go back to that. Here we go. Trashman's done. Look at that.
That's
an hour 53. It takes 2 hours, man. I'm telling you. It takes 2 hours to pencil and ink a pinup like this. It takes 2 to 4 hours to do a page. Yep. So that's cool.
See, and this people undercut the. They're like, why do comics cost so much? Why? Because at getting anybody to do 2 hours. 2 hours at minimum wage is $14.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And obviously, you're way beyond minimum wage. But what sometimes people get funny about, well, why does it cost this much? Well, you can't. Quality takes time. It takes value. It has value. Your time, the time you spent here doing this has value.
Yeah, well, I mean, even think about this. Think about the if you buy a comic book, standard comic book costs $3.99, right? And how many pictures are in there?
Yeah.
If you're just buying one comic. And so an indie guy, a dude that works in the independent comic book industry, he or she is doing multiple pictures, and they sell fewer books.
Right.
And so we're still selling our books at $3.99, even though we're selling way less than the big guys. And and sometimes we pay just the same amount for the art that we do. Or if you're like me and you're doing it yourself, I'm spending the exact same amount of time. Now, maybe my art's not as good as some of these other guys, but I'm trying to get there. I'm happy. I'm happy with this picture right now.
That's.
I'm happy. I would say I'm happy with this picture right now, but I'll probably hate it tomorrow.
Right, and that's just the artist's fallacy. We'll always look at our stuff from later and think it sucks. That's part of why fan communication is so important, not just for the money, and it's not necessarily an ego thing, but people don't get how hard it is to create something and put it out there, and have to there's a fear to it, and there's a intimidation, and it's part of human nature to just sort of need, like, if you like this, please tell me, because I'm going to try to find every reason that I don't like something I make.
Yeah. So now I got to color it. Unless somebody out there wants to color these two pictures, you can let me know, because I would like to get these colored today. Not today, this week. And I don't necessarily want to have to do it myself. But I will. I probably will. You know that, Nick. I'll probably just wind up doing it because I'm a cheapskate. And I'll just go back to this image here. So we've got working on some inks for this is the Avocator issue. And so it's a Starcross edition. And we are doing, six stories, I think it is. Maybe more, maybe 7. And we are each doing 4 pages. Each story is going to be 4 pages. And so I am pretty excited about this because this is one of the best things that I have ever written. Along with Serafina, the other book from the Kickstarter. Some of the best work that I've ever done.
Now, I want to make sure before I fully concur. Is this what I think it is that you told me about?
The 4 pages. Yeah, it's that.
Because what the preview you let me see.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. And the sort of unexpected implied character growth was so good just to see that piece of you know who. And so I'm really eager to see how
we can talk about it. It's the growth is really, like, what you get to see is you really get to focus in on Rascal a bit. Rascal and Ion, you get to learn a little bit about.
Because of the happenings in 1 through 5, that is one of those relationships that I found really interesting seeing depicted, because I don't want to say Rascal's an anti-hero, because he's not. He's a villain, but he's
of the highest order. But he's not a bad guy.
Yeah, it's like that joke. He's a bad guy, but not a bad guy. It's.
You can see him being a friend to somebody.
Yeah. The he sort of has his. It's like his world is very us versus them, and there's not a lot of us in the world, but the us that is there pretty well matters to him, and I think that's cool. It keeps them from being cliche or
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, and I think I think this is some of the best art that I've worked on so far. Speaking of women, so basically here I'll show you the process of a page like this. So I will get. Let me fix that real quick. This is what I want. C and then back to B. So here I'll take the logo off the truck, take the ink out, just start going all the way down. Brian does my layouts, and so I get something like this from Brian. So can you see that?
I'm waiting for the lag to sort of, because it's both fuzzed a little bit and okay.
So I get something like that. That's kind of roughed out a little bit, and kind of the basic shapes of kind of where they're going to be and all that kind of stuff. And it's nice because this helps me out with my layout and kind of stuff. And then what I'll do is I'll blue line that, and I'll go in and I'll do a pencil over that. And that pencil got moved.
Oh wow! See, I'm getting to learn so much about the functions in the industry, because I did not know that worked that way. That is so cool.
Just tie that back into kind of where they're going to be.
That is just.
So yeah, so I'll do something like that. And so obviously, if you look here, he had the bottom set up a little bit different. The proportions on Ion here are a little different. But I like the pose, the stance that he chose for those characters, the rocks and things like that. So I just penciled in kind of where I wanted them to be. We'll go back to that, nudge it down. That's where it is. That is where it is. That way it lines up better when I start to show it. So then what I'll do there is, so then I just rough that in, and then I blue line that again. And then I do another pencil. Man, that one got moved too. Dang it. Don't know why it got moved. Oh, now I'm moving the bottom one. I'm glad I did this. Now I, know that I've got things to fix. Let me bring that one up. So kind of back where it was, but then you can see I've fixed the proportion on some arms there because they needed to be longer. Kind of started working in that pose a little bit different. So I actually kind of redraw some of it. But again, when I hire a layout artist, I'm not really paying for their pencils. I'm paying for the layouts. And so I'm focusing on my pencils.
Right.
And so then I do that and then turn that on and then turn that on and again, dang it. So
that's just so cool. We still have 2 people watching, so they're not commenting, but you guys are more than welcome to comment. But it is fascinating. I don't think we count as the 2 people. I don't know.
I'm not watching.
Okay, so there's at least someone else watching. That's cool, because this is the stuff you never get to hear about the function of how comics are made.
Yeah, people don't, and most people don't get to see this side of it. They don't get to see that whole process. They get to see not that.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea that the layouts were done that much in depth ahead of time.
Yeah, he just and he does a little bit different than one of my other guys. One of my other guys has, does less. But Brian, the way he works, kind of how his brain works, that's what he does. It's what he puts out. And so I really like it.
Oh yeah.
And it helps me speed along, And sometimes he puts in something that I'm like, oh, I really like that. And so sometimes I will use a little bit of his pencil in kind of what I'm doing, but it really depends on the thing he's done. But as you can see, he's a talented artist. Even though you don't really get to see much of his art with what I'm doing, you get to see his layouts with what I do. So he's a very talented layout artist as well. So always happy to give him a little bit of money for that.
That's just so cool. I'm sorry I got all introspective because it's just the education aspect gets me in. I was like, personality turns off because you're.
Well, some people actually.
That's cool.
Using a layout artist is not something new. Like I didn't invent that by any means. A layout artist was used. Well, actually, John Buscema was a layout artist at Marvel before he started penciling some of his own stuff. But started being like the main guy, and somebody else provided the finishes. And so it's something that's happened, that's always used. And so I like to be able to draw my own stuff. I like to make it clear, and that's kind of why I do the live draws too, so people can see that Luke actually draws. I'm not,
you're not just stealing other people's panels and such, which I see a lot of.
Yeah, but when you're working on a project like this, I've got deadlines. I've got stuff that needs to get out. It needs to get out quick. And so when you're working on that, you do what you need to do to get the job finished. And I really thought it was cool. Like I liked his layout, especially here at the bottom. But I wanted to use. I just thought it'd be really cool and dynamic to bring Bone up here to the front. And that is, I love Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby would do stuff like that. So,
oh yeah, that's. It sounds stupid, but the boot cuff and the posing just screamed Kirby to me. You know what I mean? Just that.
Yeah.
And it's neat seeing Bone because Bone's really been up until now very much a supporting character.
Yeah.
He's not quite a talking car, but sometimes he kind of almost has that feel compared to some of the others. So it makes me want to start asking questions. It's like,
we
were talking about
the first ones to get like his own standalone. I've talked about letting him go and work with someone else's team, like another creator's comic, like they can use him because he needs to have some more character development.
He is one of those that makes you ask a lot of really interesting why questions. And he's also, if ever there was a character for me to say, now stop and look at this guy. This is why you need a visual reference Bible. Because he's got such distinct markings, be tattoos or face paint or whatever.
The thing on his face is a lot of people don't know that, but the thing on his face is it's just face paint. Just face paint.
Well, see, and that the fact that it's just face paint gives a sense of transformation, because that's one of the I see characters. There are moments I'd love to see. I would love to see in some kind of a prequel. The first time Bone decides to take the next step and just put this very bizarre in a good way, but bizarre skull mask on as he goes out to do something. He
thought it'd be intimidating, and Bone's kind of a cringy guy. He's kind of the goofy little brother. He is Chlorine's little brother, and you learn that. You learn that in the books, so that's not a spoiler. You learn that pretty early.
Well, see, the nice thing about, a character who's got some cringe to him and some youth to him is that gives you this wonderful story hook of him growing to an extent, if he's going to, out of that cringe. What's he going to do? What kind of force, given the trauma these guys have seen? My gosh, what's going to take to
Here's a fun thing about this character that maybe, not about the character. Here's, as far as the art goes, I'll point this out. You notice these lines are a lot thicker and heavier than the lines I was doing for that larger piece. Well, I'm working at the exact same size because that's the size I like to work at, and I'm also using my brush is the exact same size brush. So when I zoom in to draw that character, it doesn't take as much pressure, because I was drawing a big picture of Trash Man, and now I'm drawing a little picture of that. So that's why the interior pages don't have as much shading and stuff, as the larger pages, because just because the nature of which I work.
That's cool.
Again, some more inside stuff that you wouldn't get normally.
And that's like, it's just cool. It's just stuff.
We are definitely over the 2 hours now, so I guess we can stop.
You know me. You're putting a cake buffet in front of a fat guy. I'm gonna sit here and be like, ooh.
Finish inking him, and then we'll be done.
Sounds fair. It's been a good show. And I think it's one that if people come back and check, I'm really going to recommend, because this is so insightful into the business. The
hope is that people will be able to learn some stuff from these as well. So won't just be them watching me draw for 2 hours, but they can ask questions and we can kind of give some insight to the whole thing for them.
Yeah, and I probably have just double shared this on my timeline, but I want it popped for the people who miss it, because this is a really just rare and cool thing to be able to sit back and see. And I know I talk frequently about how cool this universe is, and I geek out, but it's so darn cool.
Ooh, I like making those little things. Those are fun. It's fun for me. I love those.
Well, yeah. Anytime you can go, well, I'm going to roughly pencil this, but then, nah. Like, the riffs are just cool. And I love how disorganized they are.
Yeah, I just come up with that by accident. I just needed to do something that was kind of cool, and I accidentally found it. So you'll notice from issue 1 to issue 5, and even this one, it changes a little bit over time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am curious. Are you planning to try to make them more uniform later as a sign of him getting better control of his powers?
Yes.
Or is that?
Yeah, eventually. Okay. Yeah, they will start to get more orb-like. They'll still be rough, but they won't be as chaotic.
I love it.
Guy right now.
Yeah.
So. And as soon as I'm done with these pages, Patrick will take these and color them. And so what's really cool is the 4-page mini. It's the same creative team as issue 5. So that'll be nice for people.
Oh, yeah. That consistency, it calls back.
Yeah.
And you end up with the dream team kind of thing going.
Yeah. I really like the team that I've got going. I really do. All right. Well, Yeah, we're at 2 hours and 14 minutes. So if you've made it this far, you are a good person. You deserve something. So message me and I'll send you something for free if you've made it this far. So I know if I get a message from someone, they're like, hey, you said I could get something free if I made it to the end. I will mail you something for free, promise. So thanks everybody for tuning in and doing this. Again, we'll be here next week. If you like the art that you saw today, it is for sale. And I'm doing a special this month that I'm doing pieces for $40. So I will print that off, do a one-of-one signature on it. I'll never print that off again. It'll be the original, and I will get that sent out to you. It is $40 plus shipping and handling. It's normally about $6 to do that, but it's not that big a deal. So. All right, everybody, have a good night, and I will see you next Wednesday. God bless. Remember, try to leave the woodpile a little bit higher than you found it. And thanks again to Nick Talkert for coming in and keeping an eye on the comments for me and chatting and helping cover the dead space. Otherwise, it would just be me talking like Bob Ross the entire night. Happy little trees, happy little chest hairs, funny little nipples. There you go. All right, y'all, have a good night. I said have a good night a lot, but there's the end broadcast button.